I am friggin' pissed off. I can't take any more of this team and Todd Bowles. Today, first of all, I want to tip my hat to Manish Mehta because he is the only beat writer that breaks every story. He broke the Khalil Mack story, the Le'Veon Bell story, and he broke this story today where Mr. Zombie, Todd Bowles, decided, hey, you know what? I'm going to take over play calling duties because, our defense may struggle at the end of games, the 2-minute warning. I'm going to get involved in the play calling. So you mean to tell me this freaking clown, after all the blown leads last year, after all the disasters last year, everything we dealt with, the year before, this defense has been underperforming for 3 friggin' years. It's like a rite of passage. Can't close out a game. Can't close out a half. When in doubt, commit a penalty. This is what we do. And now, after 3 games, he decides he's going to take over play calling duties. Hey, jackass, how about when the game is actually happening? I have a news flash for you. When Bill Belichick is watching his defense melt, in between series, guess what he's doing? He's putting his headset down, and he's in his defense's face making changes on the fly as the game happens. That's what a real coach does. Bill Parcells does that. They are not on the sideline. They're not even watching the game, Joe. They're at the bench talking to their players, figuring things out, making a change. So now Todd Bowles, after watching his defense fall apart against Baker Mayfield at halftime on a 3rd and 19 against the Dolphins, all of these other things, after 3 games, he finally thinks he's going to solve the problem? Where have you been for 2 years, Todd Bowles? You clueless jackass. You're finally figuring out the defense is underperforming. Now you figure it out? And to top it off, Joe, the biggest problem is the offense. It's too conservative. So he's going to put his head into the defense when the offense walking the game was way too conservative. He handcuffed his rookie quarterback and was the biggest problem. Is Todd Bowles friggin' kidding me, Joe? And you know what? We talked before the show, and you're absolutely right. This is the last scapegoat he has. He has nobody else left to fire. He's fired everybody else. He fired Chan Daly. Chan Daly didn't retire. He fired him. He fired John Morton. Why? Because John Morton didn't communicate well. Now Jeremy Bates is here, the new savior. But you handcuff him. He can't even call his goddamn game plan. You bring in Brant Boyer after you fire another guy. Now finally Casey Rogers is going to be the scapegoat for your defense that continuously underperforms and always craps the bed. Every goddamn game, Joe. 4th quarter melt, halftime melt, big play, penalty, big play. They just give it up. 3rd and 19, 3rd and 23, 3rd and 15. Nobody gives a damn. They're not tackling anyway. And now Todd Bowles says, I'm going to get involved. Welcome to the NFL, Joe. I mean, is this guy serious? Now he figures it out? What a goddamn disgrace. This is a joke. This is exactly why he should be fired. He's figuring it out now. I'd be more impressed if he did it last game at halftime and came out the game. I took over play calling responsibilities. But no, now you're going to do it when you had a long break for the Jaguars game, after the Dolphins game and the Browns game, you choke. Joe, this is why he should be fired. This is exactly why he should be fired. This is his last scapegoat. He's got nobody else left to blame but himself.
Yeah. First off, I see the Blog Talk has taken over the play calling duties. They're just kind of doing their own thing.
Still better than Todd Bowles.
You got a point. I called him a zombie a while ago for a reason, because this is what zombies do. They're always just brainless and just stumbling through. Todd Bowles has been Todd Bowles for as long as he's been here. All the mistakes that you're seeing this year are the same mistakes that we made last year. The heavily penalized defense, all the issues that we had, the penalties everywhere else, just the undisciplined play out there. These are stuff that we saw last year. All the same stuff. The lack of adjustments that you just talked about, that's what we've seen since he's been coaching here. This is nothing new. But again,
Joe, do you mean I got to ask you a question, Joe. Joe, I got to ask you a question. What this means is Todd Bowles, when he's watching the game, he's seeing mistakes and he's not stepping in. Because a real head coach, when you're seeing your defense melt against Baker Mayfield, when you're seeing your defense melt against Ryan Tannehill, when you're watching it actually happen, what is he doing? Oh, well, that's kind of a mistake. We better talk about that next week. What the hell is he waiting for? I mean, he's noticing mistakes and not addressing them. I mean, isn't that what this tells you? What does this tell you?
He's not doing anything. We just talked about this last week. You got guys out there getting torched. You got guys out there being heavily penalized. Why are they allowed to go right back on the field and play? Why aren't they benched? Why are we seeing guys get consistently torched and penalized, and there's no penalty for it whatsoever? You can just go right back out there and play. That does not happen anywhere else. Do you see that with the Patriots? You got guys out there that are walking penalty machines. Buster Screen is one of them. Claiborne was another guy last week. You got walking penalty machines out there. If
Tremaine Johnson.
Penalty machine, yeah, Tremaine, you got a walking penalty machine out there in New England. Guess what? Your ass is on the bench until he feels like it. But you're talking about things that real head coaches do, like in-game adjustments. That does not happen with Todd Bowles. We talked about this for how long? He does not do that. There is no in-game adjustments. The issues with roster management, the issues with time management, the issues with in-game adjustments, the issues with just adjustments within the game plan for whatever other teams are doing has never happened since he's been here. What is new? I've been coming on this damn show talking about firing him since year 2 for these exact same reasons. And people were like, oh, well, Joe, I mean, the players love him. You can't fire him. They're playing for him. Guess what, guys? The players loved and played for Rex, too. And guess what? When it was time for his ass to go, everyone was calling for him to be fired, too. When his time was up and, if we couldn't get anything else out of him, he was gone. Rex did things here. He actually achieved some stuff. He had accolades here. Bowles has nothing. Why the hell did he get to stay and continue to do the same things? Just now you're sitting here telling me that you're going to take over the defensive play calling duties now when we've had a lot of these same issues for years. What about when you guys were putting Sheldon Richardson at outside linebacker? You just sat there and watched that happen too? We talked about that when that was happening when he was on the team. That was dumb. There's a lot of other dumb stuff that we've done here defensively as well.
But
you just sat back and watched things fail, and you did nothing about it. It's ridiculous.
The stupidity
it's ridiculous.
This is the stupidity of this. He's going to take over play calling in certain situations. So is there going to be like a little scoreboard, a little scorecard on the sideline? Hey, Casey, I'm in now. You step back. I'm in now. Oh, wait, should I call it or should you call it? Who's going to call this play? What time is it? Is it 2 minutes? What if it's 2 minutes and 5 seconds, Coach? Do I do it or do you do it? Coach, we need a punt here. Do I punt? Dude, seriously? Either you want to own the defense or you don't. Dude, this is a joke. He's going to take over play calling in certain situations. How about you own your defense, Todd? It's underperformed since you've been here, Joe. What a joke. What a joke.
We brought him here because he was a highly touted defensive coordinator. We said, hey, this is a guy that's going to come in, he's going to bring his system, install it, and everything's going to work. And it hasn't worked. I mean, there's been issues here constantly with this guy. This is the last person he can scapegoat. It's Casey Rogers. That's it. He's fired multiple special teams coordinators when our special teams are complete trash. He's fired multiple offensive coordinators when they didn't get the job done to his liking, and the offense is this, and there's no communication and blah, blah, blah. This is the last place he can go. Who else can he fire to blame this team underachieving on and having issues on? Who else can he blame? Who else can he blame these penalties and the lackadaisical play and the issues on the road that we have and our team just coming out flat and not being prepared? Who else can he blame that on? He can't blame it on anybody else. He cannot blame it on anybody else. So this is like his half-assed way of firing Casey Rogers. I'm going to take the play calling duties away from you in certain situations. Now I'm going to have it on me. Because the buck stops here. This is the last stop. Because if the defense continues to fall apart, and I've said this in multiple weeks, if the defense is the issue and we know that you two work on the game plan, who are you going to fire? Yourself? You're going to get fired is what's going to happen. So I think he's picking it up to say, hey, I'm just going to ride my way.
But the funny thing is, he had an entire offseason to self-evaluate. Where does my team fall apart in the fourth quarter every game, every week of the entire season? Where does my team fall apart before halftime? Every game, the entire season. He had a whole offseason to figure this out. What in the hell did he do? It took him 3 more games this year to figure out. His defense is doing the same goddamn thing. 3 more games to figure out. We're still committing penalties. We're still not disciplined. We're still not figuring out how to win games. 3 more games? Seriously? This is what you figured out, Todd Bowles. Welcome to the NFL. This is just absurd, Joe. When I read the story that came out, and again, kudos to Manish Medic, because he's the only one that breaks stories for the New York Jets beat. The only guy that breaks stories. And it's like, wow, Todd Bowles is finally owning something, and it's just too late. Because I don't want to hear it. Because, it's like while this is a rebuilding year, I'll even give you a soundbite for this.
Hello?
It works.
You play to win the game. You don't play to just play it.
So you play to win the game. That's exactly right. So even though it's a rebuilding season, the Jets lost 2 winnable games. 2 very winnable games. And when that 3rd and 19 play happened, somebody blew coverage, blah, blah, blah. How many times have we heard that? Far too many times. Then the game against the Browns, it was so producers were coming up. Baker Mayfield came in and we missed some calls, they ran the same offense, but we made some mistakes. Well, if they ran the same offense, then why didn't you have the same result? He's full of shit.
Exactly.
I can't even curse. But, dude, it's ridiculous. And so now this is it. Now Casey Rogers is the new freaking scapegoat. It's the new one.
Yep.
And all this does is prove how inept he is as a head coach, how clueless he is, and how he has no idea what's going on. So now is this his final straw to say, now I'm going to go down in flames my defense, where he should have went down in flames the last 2 years? I mean, dude, if you're Chris Johnson, and if the callers don't like this, I really don't care. If the listeners don't like this, I really don't care. I'm fed up with this. I'm tired of watching this. Every week it's the same story. It's the same excuse. It's the same press conference. It's the same mumbling. And now he's kind of, well, you know what? I'm going to make a change now. Where were you last year when the season fell apart? Where were you this year? Last week, Joe, there was it. Thursday night, there was your time, Todd Bowles, to step in and actually win the game that you're supposed to win against a rookie quarterback in his first start that he came in emergency duty. Seriously? This is what a joke. Like, if you're a supporter of Todd Bowles, please call in this show and give me a reason why. I'd love to hear it. Not only can he not coach defense, which he's proven, now he's got a scapegoat. And the biggest problem is the offense. I'd be more impressed if he said, hey, you know what? This offense seems kind of conservative. It seems kind of predictable. How do I know that? Because every dumbass fan like me, I could drink 25 beers, watch this team, and know what play call it's going to be because it was conservative. So, Todd Bowles, I knew it, you knew it, but you're finding the defense to be the problem. Why don't you take your head and put in the goddamn offensive game room? Look at that game plan and figure out what the problem is.
Tyson, but this is what I'm saying. This is why I'm not even. I mean, this is the same
ridiculous?
Thing. Remember? Hold on. Remember when he came out?
Joe, you know what? If anything, I'm sorry, Joe.
Hold on
if anything, you know what? Don't even tell anybody you're doing it. Todd Bowles shouldn't even told nobody. Don't even tell us you're taking over play calling responsibilities because it's not going to make a difference anyway. It's his
Tyson,
damn defense.
Do you remember in the offseason, I think it was when Morton got here, when he said that he would become more a part of the offensive game plan, about the offense?
That means he walks by the room now at least.
He said that like last year. This, I'm telling you, it's the exact same stuff. This is the exact – everything that you're talking about right now is what I talked about the first 2-3 years he's been here. We say the same thing every week about Todd Bowles, the same stuff. The same thing you're saying right now, the clueless nature, the ineptness. Were you when things are going awry? Well, what exactly were you doing when the defense was heavily penalized last season? It's heavily penalized this season. We're seeing the same undisciplined play. We're seeing the same stuff where it looks like people don't know where they're going. Guys are getting burnt. Guys are out there just doing whatever. They're not getting benched. What were you doing then? It's the same stuff that we were asking last year. What are you doing? What about your in-game adjustments? Were you at critical times? It's the same stuff. It's the same stuff, Tyson.
It's week after week. And we talked about, Joe, what did we say after the Dolphin game? What did we say? We've seen this before, the same thing that happened last year. Okay, maybe Todd Bowles would get a clue in between the Dolphins and the Browns. But you know what? Lo and behold, it's a short week. He probably couldn't figure it out by then. I mean, it's 3 days? I mean, clearly way too much time to figure things out. I mean, that's film study and just having a feel for the game was too much responsibility. But then when you watch your team fall apart up until halftime, when Baker Mayfield torches you, maybe you go up to your coaching staff at halftime and say, hey, you know what? Things aren't working out. I'm going to take the reins of my defense. I don't like the way things are going down right now. Does he do that?
Exactly.
No.
Exactly.
And then the fact that the story even comes out is laughable. Unless Casey Rogers told somebody, Todd Bowles should keep this quiet. And I wouldn't even tell nobody. Let the transition happen without anybody knowing about it, because it just, to me, this is just him. The reason why this story was weak, Joe, and you nailed it right in the head, is to have a scapegoat. This is, well, you know what?
Exactly.
These last two games we lost, but I had to be more control now of my team. I had to be more control of my defense. Well, don't worry, Todd Bowles. I didn't forget about last year. And if you're being judged by more than these 3 games, you have a whole terrible year of last year that I don't forget. Or the year before that when Ryan Fitzpatrick, when your team quit on you. So this 2 games is not going to bail you out, and this is just not going to bail you out. What a joke! What a joke!
This is exact. I'm telling you, that's why I'm not even fired up, because this is the same stuff. I was yelling and screaming about this after year 2. I've been yelling and screaming.
Because you know what the problem is.
I can take
here's the problem.
Year 2. Go ahead.
The problem is this. Everybody's got this. I'm sorry, dude. Everybody's got this built-in excuse. Oh, it's a rebuilding year, young players. These things are going to happen. Not if it's the same thing that happened last year. Not if it's the defense that has a ton of talent making the same mistakes as last year. That's not supposed to happen this year. Sam Darnold struggling, that's supposed to happen. Mistakes are supposed to happen. Dumb interceptions, dumb turnovers, things like that is fine. This nonsense is ridiculous. Yeah. So if people stop giving me these friggin' excuses where it's like, well, you know, it's okay. There's nothing okay about excessive penalties, you know, blown assignments on 3rd and 19, getting torched by Baker Mayfield. There's nothing okay about any of this. It's the same thing we've already seen.
There's nothing okay with bad coaching.
Oh, you know, now I'm going to take some play calling duties away. You should have already done that. You should have already owned it yourself. You're not a head coach. You're a fraud. And this is just finding a new scapegoat. He's a fraud, dude, an absolute fraud.
He's a zombie. I've said that 1,000 times. I'm telling you, like you said, and I've said
it
multiple times. We talked about it. Go ahead. Yeah, like I said multiple times, this guy is he's finding a new scapegoat, point blank period. That's all this is. All this is I'm going to blame this on this, and now I'm taking it over. This defense have had the same issues, but I think there's a bigger picture here that people aren't thinking about and this is why I said we should have fired him last year before we gave him that extension, is because now you've allowed him to draft Sam Darnold. Now you've allowed him to draft your franchise quarterback under him and this staff and this offensive game plan. And so if we get rid of him after this year, now you're going to have Sam in 2 systems within the first 2 years that he's been in the NFL. That is not a good thing for a rookie quarterback. Now he's going to have to relearn a new system next year as he's coming in. How do you think that's going to help his progression? It's not. It's not going to help his progression at all.
Well, what the hell is going to help when your offense is so conservative to begin with? If you're going to handcuff the rookie, listen, we got Connor on the line, so I'll bring him on next, dude. But I'm so tired of these goddamn excuses. I'm tired of the excuses. Well, it's a rebuilding year. These things are going to happen. No, it's your defense, dude. And now you're going to call plays? Yeah. Good for you. You should have woke up last week and did it. You should have woke up against the Dolphins, and you should have woke up all last year. You had an entire offseason to get your head out of your ass and figure things out. And the last 2 weeks, the same things have happened. He's a scapegoat. Now Casey Rogers is your scapegoat. Who else got Todd Bowles fired? The water boy? Who else do you blame? The flight crew? Who do you want to blame? What, the beer vendors for the $13 beers? The buffoon.
We literally brought him in here because he was a defensive coordinator. We brought him in here to install his game plan. This guy is heavily involved in the defensive game plan. I mean, like, this is all. But can you imagine the conversation? He's a bad head coach. But imagine this conversation. Really
it's like 2 minutes and 10 seconds before the half. Casey Rogers is like, Coach, do I call this player to you? Because it's getting close to the 2-minute warning. Well, let's go to our little scorecard here. You could just see it. And then there's going to be confusion. Who called the play when? And they're finger pointing. And it's going to be the players are going to be looking like who's doing what, who went where. More excuses. This is going to be. I can't wait to watch this stupidity. So
I'm telling you, I can't. I can't take it.
I can't take it. So I'm sure since the Jets listen to this show, I'm sure I'll be getting a nasty email tomorrow, and I really don't care about that either. So you know where to email me. I don't really care. I don't care. I've had it. I'm tired of these losses. I'm tired of excuses. I'm tired of Todd Bowles.